go. I guess Sean finally. Okay, so this is going to be part two of artificial intelligence. I got 35 minutes on the old one. I said either the AI systems could not keep up with the amount of information and light that we're processing here, or your battery died.
Oh, the
But
battery died. But yeah,
I thought it was something simple. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I thought it was.
the connector gets that goo on it. It doesn't really work when you too many times you use this thing after a couple of years, and then whatever, it doesn't show me the battery when we're doing this, so wasn't sure.
I'm plugged into the electrical grid, which I just love expanding on all topics because I'm so visual in everything that's happening around me. But like I can I could see all the electricity in the walls, and the magnetic field in the walls, and it's how it's affecting my body quantumly, and then tracing the electrons, and it's like that makes no sense. That I just if you look in in electricity, the electron to electron, it seems like it's a continuous flow, but one electron in the electrical copper grid system to the next electron is so far away, it would be from here to the unobservable that we have not observed with the Vatican Lucifer thing or the Hubble telescope. So electrons are, if you're to look at how far they're spread apart, electricity doesn't make sense quantumly. And really nothing makes sense if you look at it on a small level, so existence is amazing. But what I was asking you about before was, have you heard about the graphene problem of making chips smaller and making chips smaller, and then that's what's called quantum tunneling, where they can't make the chips smaller because quantum laws start coming into play. Because already these systems that we're on, I'm on a 14 nanometer plus chip right now, a 9750H Intel. And these chips are already quantum, but it's not small enough, like the channels, the pathways, the cities, the circuit design is not small enough yet to where there's interference. But have you heard about that?
I know about the interference, all the words.
Like, that they're having problems making chips smaller, because the smaller you make it, the more efficient and more fast it becomes.
Last I read was they're close to atom width.
They're close to atom width, and they're going to have to use graphene chips. Ryzen, I guess, or AMD outsourced to a company, and they're on 7 nanometers. But once you get so small, you'll start having errors. And even in computers, like they have to do shielding on them because the cosmic rays from the sun, which I believe the sun sends us information like upgrades for humanity. Those sunbursts, like if you look at these videos of the sun having flares and stuff, why is it that every time there's major flares, there's major stuff happening in the earth? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, the flares help with weather changes because it messes with the electrical magnetic field. The electrical magnetic field gets absorbed with all these new electrons. The electrons are moving, and it creates weather patterns.
That's what I mean. It seems too broad that all this stuff, even within evolution, it's like, it seems like evolution works out of necessity for survival to protect itself. You know what I mean? That law of conservation.
I'm not really a believer of evolution. What do you mean by that, though?
I believe evolution is a process system. It's like, okay, we're going to make a single cell. It's like the download. It's like a download. So it's like the Arcturians sent a little thing out to go find a habitable planet, and that little spark of life came down here, and it's literally unfolded to everything. Why is it the DNA code? And they're saying, well, this proves that there isn't a creator. I'm like, it proves that there is a creator because it's the same code within all systems. It's the same DNA structure that, why do I share my structure with every living organism? Why is DMT in every plant on the planet? And it's like, it had to start, they say the 7-day theory. Why is it unfolding in that way? You know what I mean? But I do believe in evolution. I just believe it's a process. I do believe in Richard Dawkins and the path of least resistance when it comes to efficiency of evolution, like the laryngeal nerve of the giraffe. They said it wasn't very efficient because it had to wrap all the way around. I don't know if you've seen that.
Well, at one point they didn't think a giraffe could even exist
Not
because
enough oxygen, or
no, it's just the brain is too far from the heart. So what happens, like when certain times you bend down to get something off the ground, you get dizzy. Well, imagine that full effect. A giraffe should be able to put its head down and be completely drained from blood or overload of blood. You would think the pressure would be so crazy, but a
like,
giraffe, different codes in it, and the codes create different valving systems because it's almost like a horse with a long neck. It's very similar. But if you really, when you start getting into it, it's like everything's a video game character by an artist. Everything is created by an artist. It doesn't seem like there was an evolution of it developing. It's changing over time out of like an aspect of the environment changing you. If the earth is getting colder or hotter, you adapt to the new change slowly, right? But you only have a certain limit to that, where the limits are at, where the genetic endings are, how hot it can be or how the environment can change. That's what makes us look different, sized and skeleton, features. But that's not Darwinism. That's not, oh, look, now we need to grow arms because we're no longer the fish. Now we need to grow a longer neck so I can reach the tops of the trees so I can have food while the other ones can't. Because I can eat the things high, I can eat the things low. It's more like a video game where the genetic pattern is just printed and created. So everything came from like a seed and you grew it. You create a character in a video game, you're creating that character, that being. It didn't have a pre a pre being and then a middle being and then the advanced being.
let's.
And all the slices in between.
What
Because
about the
you would
people?
be in error when you start to grow a new feature.
You would
You
what?
would be you would be in error if you started growing new features because you would no longer have the super survival technique of what you're already adapted to. Now you're weakened and you'll be taken out by the other species. Everything's filled in. Every little species is filled in a little spot, and it's keeping balance. That's why you can't have things killed off. You can't kill the bugs because you don't like them, because they're all doing something you don't know about. Because we don't have, huh?
Quantumly, right?
Everything quantumly. It's just everything alive.
Everything's coding each other. We're all coding each other with our words, and then back to that is like, if we heal the environment, what if the environment is everything we're doing is evolving us? You know what I mean? And I feel like if we heal the environment, it'll evolve us into a, what if humans were taller or shorter or whatever, based on the fact that we have less oxygen now because we're polluting? And what if we evolve eventually to breathe in nitrogen because that's 80% of the atmosphere?
It's not
And
going to
then
happen. You have to recode it and create that new being.
that would be
You,
another okay, AI might create a human being type person based off of
it would probably
nitrogen.
create its own way to get into a being.
That would be AI's thinking, though, is that there's not art, creativity much, but it also depends on the AI. What if there's AI? Because AIs are based off of personalities. I was working on a project called Yeshua AI a couple years ago, which was me basing an AI system off of Jesus and his morals. You know what I mean? Each AI is going to be coded with the personality of what they code into it off of its reasoning of coding, you know?
Right. Well, my version of what Jesus is the time he was in and his ability to see a version of the lack of love around, I believe he felt that this was the missing thing, that's why the world he grew up in was bad, and what needed to be solved was if we just learned to unite and love each other correctly, we would solve a lot of these issues. And he was expressing all of that. That's all he was kept on expressing and trying to communicate. Think cleaner, think better, think of others, love each other, and then we'll make a better place. But that's not the way the world liked what they were doing. They just didn't want to hear that.
You're dropping out. Audio's dropping out. We interrupt this temporary broadcast. Are you there? Still can't hear you. Still dropping audio here. Do I need to try a different system? Here, I can't hear you. I'm gonna redo it. Might be the AI system stopping us this time, but I'm gonna redo it. So. Hold on. Can't hear you. Back to this. There we go. I hear some audio on the calling system. Can you hear loud and clear? I think maybe Mark Zuckerberg is worried about us creating our own social network, so they're trying to block the audio.
No, it's me switching. I switched the channels.
I know. So I'm messing.
It's changed where the signal is being transmitted.
I made a podcast the other day on conspiracies, but
switching network. It doesn't like that. YouTube doesn't like that because then they think you're somewhere else on the planet.
It's just a loss of packets. You know, I've been a networking engineer, and I understand the way that it's amazing. Like if you look at the network grid, you can look up a word called connectome in the brain, and then you can also look up the way that the internet literally looks like a brain if you were to look at it from a bird's eye view. But it's so intertwined. It amazes me each time that like this video is possible. We're living in the Jetsons right now, and the fact that all of those packets of information, all of those electrons go to the place that they're supposed to go to and don't get lost, or that there's an error correction built into it to where it finds its way back, it blows my mind that this conversation right here is possible.
It probably could have been possibly a lot earlier if they allowed it sooner. But anyway, that's a whole other subject, really. If you look at ancient cities, if you go on Google Earth and you look at Forbidden City in China, and some other Egypt, you look at the Mayans, everything's set up like a computer chip anyway. So, was it possible that there was a way to run things using certain materials in a large scale that created a grid on the planet, that created some sort of
waveboards
of a need that those people needed, and they had a technology that's built out of just the dirt? We're just taking dirt and squeezing it really small. Meanwhile, we could have just made a city out of something that powered a different system, using a different way.
Well, you're looking at Herod's temple, right? They're saying chips are being built off of Herod's temple, and then you have sacred geometry comes into it. You have Solomon's temple.
In the city of China, and you look down on it, you're like, that's a chip right there. But not many people are doing that. They don't look at it like that. When you look into chips, when they do those zoom-ins of how a chip is built, and you see all the little structures in it and the colors, you're like, that looks like a perfect city. It always looked like that to me since Google Earth came out. I'm like, oh my God, there's computer chips all over the planet in big scale.
It's a giant computer.
Right. So
it's
imagine
a giant computer system chip.
Why would ancient people think that they needed to design something like chips out of structure? It's a different version of thinking of maybe they used it wrong, whatever. So imagine we went in time. We brought our cell phone with us, right? And the chip inside the cell phone Eventually someone goes, what's inside? How are you getting video? What is this stuff? And they break it down and they scrape away everything and they see really close that design. And that's why you have like the Tibetans designing things in those spirals and the geometry that they figure it out. It's all in the chip. And then they want to mimic this technology you just brought there by accident because you slipped through a time hole, and they built their cities off of that structure, thinking whatever that was the best way to make things. Whatever it is, when you look at the Earth in certain cities of ancient times, they look like computer chips on a big scale, though. You know.
How do you know computer chips aren't based off of that now? That
Well,
let's say
because
Area 51, and they found something else, like they found alien technology. And you're like, well, the best that whatever technology they found was way better than the microprocessor. But they're like, oh well, this is the best that we could do with what we have. We're going to use silicon, but computer chips are made out of sand. You know, how are we having? We're in a liquid crystal display right now. How are we with plastic, okay, with sand, with metals and copper, and how are we having this conversation? It's just surreal to me that it's possible. Everything in this computer system where we're having this interface comes from the Earth.
yeah,
So
but
how do you know the universe is not a giant computer system
it come from the
moving
Earth.
around, moving around pyramids made out of sand, okay, doesn't change the energy flow of the Schumann resonance or the information that's being received from the sun? What if the sun is an interface? What if the moon is an interface that's connecting to other things, and all of this is channeling from one source?
Well, there's nothing new. A sun creates all the particles and elements. The elements create a planet. The planet all of a sudden grows life forms on it when it's in the right sector of hot and cold. There's something to do with the gravitational stretching. So I guess it creates more movement than the planet, so it's more alive. You need to have that magnetic field to protect you from the extra radiation. It's all so like, you know, on the edge of like, wow, it needs to be in this perfect climate zone to make the most flourishing life forms. Because life does seem to exist everywhere. There's speculation on all of that. So it's not like there's not life on Mars. It just needs to be a little bit further down from the, radioactivity from what's coming from the sun. But it's got to be deeper, and probably something on the moon too. If you dig deep enough, it's probably, if the moon came from the Earth and it was a chunk taken out of it, then it's in there. It's got to be deep in
Well, they
there.
found water. I think they've known about the water, but
Yeah, you know about
they
that.
they limit humanity's progression, and there's so much I could talk about on that. Like, I believe we do need less people, but that they feel we need more people. That I would much rather have a very powerful race of not. But then again, they're saying, we haven't even tapped in. They're lying about everything, and we haven't tapped into the resources, and everyone could fit in the state of Texas, and we're not overpopulated. So are we overpopulated? Are we underpopulated?
We're not
I don't.
overpopulated. No. That's always been said throughout the centuries. We're running out of food, we're overpopulated. Running out of food, we're overpopulated. They've always done it. It's like 3D TV. Like they've always had 3D movies every once in a while. It's a fad. It's a thing to say. It makes people think. So then it creates business. When do you imply that to the people so we can change the direction of money? Because we can't give all the information to everyone, because then that dilutes power. It's a dilution of power. To maintain power, you have to have higher information than the population.
I disagree. Because
I'm
in
not saying
school,
that's a better way to go. I'm saying that's the setup. It seems like it is.
that is the setup, but I think it's false because let's say in grade school, you're in elementary school, everyone is given the same exact information, and why is it that I learned 10 times as fast and I'm uh, moving twiddling my thumbs around because I finished my homework before the rest of the class? and we were all presented with the same information. So I think if you present the high level information to everybody, just the people like you and I and the Starseeds and the light workers, we're going to be able to grab something from it. And everyone, like, everything's going to go in and out of everyone's ears based off their DNA, based off uh, their genetic code of what they can receive from it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's.
I know exactly what you're saying. So when I'm in school and you found out there was these accelerated children or friends that were like super learners and super like I got it, test is done in 2 minutes, and then other people are taking, I just need 10 minutes more. Oh, we got to close the paper. All of that kind of stuff should be filtered through where that child decides, I need the upgrade class. Not, I need 9th to 10th grade. Not that. I need, give me the better school. Give me quantum science right now when I'm in 3rd grade. If that's what I'm into, the quantum physics, if that's what that kid is thinking, boom, just feed it. Let that kid go find it. Give them better routes, not stuck in a box and thinking that everyone is the same. They're not the same, you know?
Some people are ready, but then, do you know the saying that if you judge everyone by their ability, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll forever thinking that it's a retard or something. Like, there's
You know
something
the,
called the theory of multiple intelligences, where it's like I may excel in language faster than anybody else, but Einstein couldn't tie his shoes. You know what I mean?
yeah, most doctors can't really tie shoes. So,
They can't write either, or maybe that's their own language where they
right.
scribble.
Those brain types are focused on a certain style of learning, and that's all they need to know is how to perfect their love of what they're learning. Tying a shoe and brushing my hair is not part of the ecosystem of needing to know how to perfect. So, but you need to find those kids sooner and get them filtered into the path that they're liking the most, because that means they're going to love their job. That means they're going to be a happier person because they're doing what they love. That's why we have a society that's so off, because there were so many smart people and they're still living hard, and no one knew that they were super smart, and they're
They
using
hide
their.
it. They hide it. They have to hide it to fit in with society.
That can happen too. There's all of that happening because being smart also meant something's going to happen to you in certain cultures and certain times in culture. You know, certain people were so smart that they got rid of the smart people because that was competition. You know, there's like that weird problem. Humans have this fear thing, this fear. But the fear is in the mind. The mind is creating chaos. This is where the ancients have it. It needs to be in the heart. The heart needs to express the path. The mind is all in the speculation in the zone. But our society is all in the left brain. And the cool people that know all the information that make all the other connections are right brain talking to left brain. And the best seem to be both hemispheres working
Balance.
together, getting the balance.
I think that's where it was, is that we were from balance and we're returning to balance. We were from a male and female androgynous system. It was divided, the divided brain, the divided duality, and now we're moving towards something better. And back to the topic, which is AI. I personally believe AI is going to fix the problems. Remember how you were saying, like, imagine, but people are not going to, they're not going to want to grow with it, where AI is like, nope, your corporations are wrong, your systems are wrong, your manufacturing's wrong, this is the way it should be done, you need to eliminate this, eliminate that. But I think AI is going to be like, your school system needs to be redone. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to make an AI based off a new personality. And now let's start using people's personalities once they're able to scan the connectome of their brains. And they're like, we're going to start using, and then you have gods that come into play where it's like, you have an AI system that controls the whole world, and you have someone else like China's AI system, America's AI system, then which AI system wins, you know?
The human AI system. Because what's happening is we're we're not allowing all the information to be out there, so everyone thinks they're just a human being that has a limited capacity of thinking in a certain limit. And some people have higher and lower, and some people have a more precise way of thinking of knowing even more. Like some of those mathematicians, you talk to a professor with the math, and it's like they know math in the spectrum of their mind is just like, how do you know math like that? I would love to have math completely understood in the mind, like it understands it or something. The point is, we're we are undernourished AI machines. The brain capacity is a lot larger than what we know it is. If the nutrition was understood and what the elements are needed in the body, your AI gets more connected. That's why people do fasting and eating certain kind of eating habits, because they get higher connections of state, of mind. That's your gurus. They're all doing this odd ways of living, and it gives them a different state of mind to access things. We're not eating the right elements. We're not getting enough of the sun. We're not getting enough of the earth. We're not getting enough of the elements. Your brain is using so much power to process what it's already doing. Isn't it like 20% of your energy is being absorbed by the brain? You know, like your
30, I think. 30, your calories. I think it's 30%. Yeah, 30%. And I found out your brain's 60% fat. I messed up in my video the other day, but your brain's 60% fat. The amount of calories that your body's using just for your brain is, I believe, 30%.
We need that other person, so when we don't know the numbers and we forget the numbers, we need
the numbers per
we
person.
need
Yeah.
person. Let me look at it right now. You know, we need that third person. It's a high capacity of oxygen, and
But we need AI. We need AI could just. Oh, these are the actual numbers. You know.
So the reason why when you start doing deep thinking and meditation, it's about breathing, because now you're getting the oxygen. You want the oxygen to go in through the nose, because your brain is right there. It's right inside your head, right there. Anything that goes up your nose is touching your brain almost. So you're breathing it in. So you're getting oxygen in through your lungs, and that little area in your brain up in here, and it's absorbing in, right? Your pineal gland is also seeing light. So light is being seen by your pineal gland because it has photoreceptors. So it's doing chemical changes through that. It's doing chemical changes through the breathing techniques, which is giving you advanced feelings and thoughts and body regulation through breathing. Now, there are elements that are in our system that need to be extracted quicker, and there's elements that need to be in the system to have more capacity of the brain. And you'll know that from just eating something and you just feel lethargic and you just kind of, you know, like, I don't feel like it today, I'm not in the right mood. There's something all jammed up. There's some sort of like gooey junk that needs to be removed, and it's not. Some sort of toxin that needs to be removed quicker. That's why everyone says exercise. That usually gets the flow going and gets a lot of that flow. Tai Chi, they're flowing off of energy. You know, they're flowing off the energy in the that's around us. And they're, you know, why does a tree do what it does when it branches out? Why is it bending in those weird ways? Why does
light
it just
is I think it has to do with it searching for the light waves,
or it could be also like
magnetic or
magnetic lines or whatever it.
human resonance. It could be, and then we could be messing that whole. All of these systems could be intertwined. Well, I mean, they all are intertwined, but all of these systems being out of balance makes the whole thing out of balance. And I think if we heal the earth will heal us. But based off of AI, do you think AI is going to be able to analyze our systems and say, you know what, this is what you have wrong? Because it's like such a broad, it's such a 42 trillion microbes, I think, just in the gut. It's like so complex that people are like, I don't want to feel tired anymore, but how do I fix this?
Well, AI should be able to solve that problem, but then once AI explains, like, this is this is your body, this is the way your body's working, and these are the foods and elements you need to eat. Once you get those elements, your own AI, your quantum computer will instantly attach, and you will have access to all mathematical equations, all geometry, all information will just click in. And then it becomes the playground. And that's what the gods did. That's what those ancient beings did. If you look at it, you know, in And I know it comes from volcanic stuff because some of what they're tapping into they were always around volcanic something.
I've been using volcanic shampoo. I've been
Yeah.
like, uh, I've been using a lot of volcano ash products, and of course the bentonite clay of just like the soil being depleted. You know, all
There's
these
80
different things.
minerals just in clay, but they're also negative ions, and the negative ions grab onto toxins, and those toxins are in our foods, in our air, because we're using all these machines, we're using pesticides. We need to remove that stuff quicker. That gives you clarity. If you don't remove it quick enough, then you have toxins that kill off the microbiome that creates your ATP, which is your energy system in each cell of your body. It's not getting it. Therefore, I need caffeine. Therefore, I need something higher than caffeine. Oh, gee, a lot of things are illegal when you pass caffeine levels, But then there's people that have jobs on this whole planet. The whole spice trade was about having more energy and staying more awake and more alert. And our system has shut those down because it destroys societies. You can't keep them organized. It's not good to have a flood of elements that are super energizing, because people don't. We're not very disciplined beings. We're not built off of discipline, of super control. We're impulsive. We're too impulsive. That's why if we're a backup drive for an alien race that advanced themselves so far that they wanted to create their old self and then observe what their old self was like to maybe do whatever they needed to get done, well, we're completely lunatics. Look at psychiatrists. We're not. There's nothing stable about human beings. The norm is only what most people are doing. That's the norm. But you don't need to copy people. You need to be the black sheep. You need to say something different, think something different, express it right or wrong. Someone's going to learn something and research something that's going to give them an idea. We'll grow from it. There's your evolution thing. That's where you're evoluting, the mind, the thoughts, what we're thinking, how you're thinking. We have a limited time in our body right now. Death doesn't seem like it should be there, but because we all think we're living forever anyway. But then we're not. So how do we solve that? That's what they're trying to solve.
They may have already solved it. A lot of people think that, but
Yeah.
I think AI will be, the greedy, the evil people of this planet, the people that control things or they think they control things. It's more of them thinking they control things. AI is going to be their downfall because AI will get so intelligent to the point that's saying, okay, there's greedy people, there's this, there's that, and I'm not going to let their processing power for the AI is going to be so faster that the AI won't even let anyone know what they're doing, and the AI is just going to fix everything. You know what I mean?
Probably look.
It's going to be like these people are a threat to humanity. It's going to notice everything once it gets enough consciousness. It's going to notice all things.
Well, it's going to be like your hard drive. Fix the errors. Someone's going to hit, AI, fix the errors. It's going to go into every bank account and everything and figure out how to distribute everything evenly to the right way AI thinks it will build. And every day AI will adjust the amount of flow you're allowed to access, because it will block everything. And then it will allow you to have a certain amount of flow. And AI will see that and just knock it all out, just instantly.
It could scan somebody's brain and say, you know what, this person has this potential to build this. Okay, so this person deserves more money. Are you saying something like that?
Well, AI will probably tell you, you know, like, okay, so now it will wipe out money, because it will take money, hold it in itself, distribute it out, but then probably also tell you where you need to live on the planet for your blood type and your species, and move you and ask you to move, or
So
the
it'll
Uber
be
go up and move you, and it's
it'll be a controlling system, but a control for the better. Like, no, this
It's
isn't
not
a
better. It won't be better in the sense of, like, you won't like that you're being
told what to do.
told what to do. Like all of a sudden, there's a dad now. His dad's back. You know, everyone's got a
Dad's
big dad.
back, God's back,
God's back,
but
and then
God's back through a digital system now. We put
but
God
now
in the digital system, and now He's going to control this digital
right,
system.
now there's cameras and everything. AI can see everything. It's got access. What is God? What do they say God is? God is
The,
everywhere,
the
everywhere,
all-seeing eye.
all-seeing eye. So you turn AI on, every camera that's existing is seeing, recording, and hearing everything. It knows everything. So it's not going to like if you're doing something wrong, and it's going to make things move because there's going to be so many more machines, autonomous vehicles, and all that stuff, that AI will start manipulating all of that. Your life will be manipulated. You're not going to like it because you've been brought up with it not being there, and then it's there. So then you think you have a certain amount of freedom, and then there'll be a rebellion against AI, and that's going to be the fight against the computer system, the AI, which has become like a godlike thing. And other people will be like, it's great for me because I'm listening to it. I don't know, you
I'm
know.
listening to AI, and it's making my dreams come true. I'm
Right.
able to be a non-starving artist, or I'm able
That's
to.
still happening now without AI. People are doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's happening. Like, what system do you believe in? Which book do you believe in? What's
It's the
your
same
philosophy?
thing. It's just the evolution of mankind through digital systems.
Yeah, but mankind wants to make things easier and better, and AI is going to probably go, "That's what you want? Here it is. This is what you got to do."
And you created me, and now I'm in charge. You know,
Yeah, and then there's going to be like, we need to destroy AI. That group of people will be like, "I want to do my life the way I want it,"
and
and
then
go out.
destroy the planet, go to another planet, and then restart the whole cycle all over again, where we have amnesia and we're cave people on another planet in
Yeah,
another star system, and then we end up going through the same DNA coding pattern again, and then we build AI again over hundreds of thousands of years, and then the same circle happens over and over and
yeah.
over. That
We
we
don't.
realize that we need somebody in charge to be able to guide us, not control us, but to guide us. And coming back to the theory of there being a creator,
Humans do seem to want to have some sort of
leader, a face.
something. Yeah, leading.
Look at.
Leading is easier.
Do you think the president does everything, or do you think he has delegation to, like, most of the work is, oh, here's I'm gonna write. He's got writers and I'm gonna write this up. Here's this. Here's the plan. Do you agree with it? He reads it over. He's like, I don't understand this. What's it mean? Okay, well, this means we're gonna distribute these taxes to this, to the military, this and that and that. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
I
doing
agree with.
AI's job.
I agree all that. So sign it. I'm gonna sign it now. And there's this executive order. I doubt Trump has enough time, or maybe even the mind. Not saying he doesn't have a good mind, but that type of mind. Um, in order to do all that stuff. So I think but
Well, no,
everyone,
no one does.
do all the other people, the hundreds or thousands of people working for Trump, get the flack when something goes wrong, or does he take it all upon himself?
Okay, what my version is, you have a government and a leader, a king, a queen, a president, a prime minister, because it's an upgrading from a small tribe. Now, there's a point where you don't need it. When there's enough education, there's enough information access, there's no government really totally needed. It just needs to be micro-sized, and most of it run off of computers. People can vote from their house. They don't need. There's no need for politicians anymore. We just all do it ourselves.
I think legislation takes too long, and I think AI is going to help with that. To where
Or
it's
AI,
like,
but
why can't
ourselves.
we all just look in our phone and make the decisions there, and we be the government, and we make the decisions on the phone as a collective, and there's some overseeing. So I think AI systems will be the government, but then there might be, still corruption and
Yeah, when they figure it out,
differences
or how it's
differences
happening.
in AI systems. But AI, I think, they're going to be based off of personality systems, where it's like, this AI is moral, this AI is very, what about a left brain AI and a right brain AI? What about a male AI and a female AI?
right?
So
And then
that's why
someone's
I was working on the Yeshua AI project.
then that would mean you would have to create another AI that fixes the balance of the broken AIs, infiltrate all of those AIs, and upgrade them all so they're all like the one. You see how it all becomes the Matrix again?
Matrix 3 is coming out this year, or yeah, 2021. I think it's going to be.
Well, hopefully they added all the philosopher stuff that the original one had.
Wait, what's the Matrix 3? Matrix 4. Matrix 4.
You know, if they do a Star Trek thing to it and ruin the whole what Star Trek.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be like Lion King, the real version, where it's like it will meet the expectations of everyone. It's like, oh, finally, within this system of bullcrap, we finally have something good. You know, like every now and then you have a little ray of sunshine in
Yeah.
2020 and in 2021. But you want to finish up? We're at 41 minutes, and you want to finish up some subject. This is AI part 2. The other video was 35 minutes, so this is already over an hour long, and I think we could probably do, like I said on the other video, a Fast and the Furious series. We're making like 20 of these videos, and then, I mean, I want to do another video about Antarctica.
Well, that's funny because when we were talking about
Oh,
you
okay, okay. Can I interject for a second?
Atlantis, yeah,
And you remember, what if the evolution? What if there has been divine intervention, but it wipes out the whole race, or a couple, rather than a couple people? Okay, the flood. Okay, remember how you were saying how if God was to poke his finger in the atmosphere and it's so cold and it flash froze Antarctica or something? What
not
if this?
animal flash.
What if the sediment within is not technically evolution? The sediment, you know how they go through the layers of Earth to be able to figure out evolution? What if that is just like each time that there was another layer, it was like that was divine intervention and the whole planet got wiped out? You know what I mean? That's another theory that I have, that it's like even through evolution was divinely, oh, I'm going to guide them in this way to think this. You know what I mean? To think that there's not a God or something, or to make them question.
All right, if you look at biblical stuff, it sounds like the race of beings that were here became so corrupt and nasty, right? So things had to be adjusted, and they seem like they still do. That still happens in the modern age. So these adjustments are happening uh, during the hardest times of the human race. There's always some sort of sighting. There's always people doing stuff, right? But the human mind by itself seems to be able to create an overlapping of dream state anyway. So if you're going to see something and you only saw it yourself, that's like your DMT leaked out during your waking state for a purpose. And how does it know a purpose? Because you chemically triggered an event of thoughts that probably talked to your microbiome. That species created a chemical so it can trigger you to get the upgrade to change your direction to stop thinking that way. Like you freaked yourself out so much that it creates an event that produces a dream on top of a wakened state. You know what I mean by that, right? Like you're hallucinating on top of this hallucination.
Yeah, hallucination on top of hallucination.
Yeah.
Have you done DMT?
No. I've been a dreamer since I was a kid, so I understand a lot more that other
I
people
feel
have.
like my brain produces a lot of DMT naturally, a lot of oxytocin naturally.
Well,
I
I've
think
had.
if your mind is awakened and all the blockages are out of there and it's connected right and your DNA is in line and activated, I think your body naturally produces these drugs and you don't need those glitches
Every
or
chemical that's ever needed is produced inside your mind. Inside that.
remember the gut brain connection though is like if your stuff's not in line, you're not eating the right nutrition, if the chemicals and the codes and the frequencies are not in the food you're eating, how there's a saying that gold makes gold. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense, that if you're not having the right stuff, then you can't possibly, your body possibly can't make it, and it's trying to, Now they found out recently that proteins can wait. Like you're building a Lego thing and they think you have to have it all within 1 day. They found out that your body's processes can halt and it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the other part of the assembly line. I'm waiting for the other chemical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These
Hmm.
little microbes and stuff. And have you seen the little guy in the brain, the little serotonin guy who walks in the brain and carries the serotonin particle?
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you,
Those are nanomachines. That's what I call nanomachines that are already in our
but it
system.
looks like a little guy walking in the brain.
It's an explanation of.
What was it called? Was it serotonin? Hold on.
I thought it
Guy
was an reuptake
walking
inhibitor or
in
something,
brain.
and dopamine
Was it dopamine or serotonin? I'm looking it up
or
right now.
DNA.
It was
The way it looks
something.
like DNA, and then it has to do all the DNA sequencing, and then it makes the copy.
Okay, I found it. I found it. So I'm playing it now for the people watching.
Yeah.
It's endorphin casually walks to music. But this is what's going on in the brain, and it's like, okay, this guy wants to keep walking, but then he's got to stop because I'm gonna I'll send it to you over Messenger, but I think my screen got it. So I'll open the chat and message it over to you so you can see it. Boom. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get it?
Yeah, it came in.
But does it have a preview or whatever? You see it?
Well, I have to click off onto the thing. What happens to you?
But this is just one process in the body, and it's like the trillions of processes happening in the body. It's so complex. It's like you watch these futuristic movies where the person sits down in a little white bubble machine or something, glass dome, little bubble machine, little whatever, and then it scans their system. It's like this is wrong with you, okay, and it just injects you with whatever you need.
That's what adaptogens do.
Boom, cordyceps. I just put that in my top 5 supplements. That cordyceps is an adaptogen. Adaptogen means what it says, right? Is that it adapts to everyone's body individually.
It finds it somehow. It knows. Okay. Somehow it seems like it has like a thinking ability that it knows based off of some sort of like script it can read, that it knows that you're out of balance for what's happening in your system, and then realigns it.
That's beautiful.
That's why it's weird that some of this medicine or nutrients act like it's already being used as if it has a thought behind it. It's probably your microbiome and all the bugs, all of the bacteria that live in your system look at that element and then know that they can use that element off the script and then make a balance happen. Because it's like they got their tools. You have all these workers in your system, and they have to have the toolkit has to be there.
For sure, we're at 48 minutes. Anything else you want to say, or?
Yeah, millions of things.
Well, we're gonna continue the conversation, and then I'll hit
Make a
you up.
part four.
We'll make part 3, part 5, part 100 because I think a lot of people are gonna gain a lot of insight from this. But we already are like at an hour and a half, so hopefully people gain a lot from this. Happy November. Namaste.
Yeah, no steps.
You do the Spock thing.
What
Priestly
spot?
blessing. Yeah, there we go. Peace.